Hello. Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be here with all of you today, standing up for something that matters, not just for us, but for our neighbors and fellow residents of Kemptville and North Grenville. I'm here today with all of you to demonstrate our complete disapproval of a plan to build a prison in our rural town of Kemptville. The biggest infrastructure consideration ever for our town, and the plan was developed secretly and announced quietly during a global pandemic. Some will say the timing of the announcement was simply coincidental. Many others will say it was strategic. A few points I'd like you to remember from the past 14 months since the announcement. 500 new local jobs. Do you remember that statement? Our mayor said that on local radio following the provincial announcement. It took 10 months of requests to set the record straight, but we finally received a public retraction from our mayor in June of this year, that the facility will not bring 500 new local jobs, and in fact will bring very little in that regard. How about the prison will bring economic prosperity to Kemptville and its surrounding residents? Do you remember that? We searched for evidence of this, the hyped up local benefits, but as facts were uncovered, many who believed it to be true changed their narrative. No longer would it bring economic prosperity, but rather there might be some benefit to local gas stations and box stores from corrections staff or families of inmates commuting to and from Ottawa. I don't know about you, but I expect more for my community. How about the site selection for the proposed prison? They explicitly told us that 100 to 130 properties were assessed before landing on the Kemptville site, when in actuality, only 38 properties were assessed. How do we know that? Well, we know that because we filed a Freedom of Information request and received 10 pages out of a possible 145. We filed the FOI request because so little information was being shared with us, and the information that was shared simply didn't make sense. So why did they not tell us that the Kemptville location failed to meet the criteria during the site selection? Why did it not get eliminated from consideration as other sites did? Why did they tell us that the potential for prison expansion was not a concern, only to find it was listed as a key criteria in the site selection? Furthermore, why did we have to file a Freedom of Information request in the first place? They promised us transparency, and these facts should have been willingly provided to us. I spoke earlier about secretly developing this proposed plan, but someone did know about the plan, and that person chose to keep it from his constituents. Our elected MPP Steve Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. He knew about SolGen plans, but didn't inform anyone, not even local government. He participated in local discussions about the vision for Kemptville and about agricultural development plans for the land and the Kemptville campus, and during these discussions, he chose to say nothing. This is not what the voters expect from their elected official. They want someone who will listen impartially, take their concerns seriously, and be strong enough to stand up and say, you know what, you're right. This is a really bad idea. Maybe there's a better way. That's what voters expect from their elected officials. So what do we want from MPP Clark, Solicitor General Jones, and Premier Ford? We want them, number one, to immediately enact a moratorium on construction of the proposed Kemptville prison. Number two, hold robust consultations.
Yes.
Number two, hold robust consultations with Indigenous peoples and Kemptville residents on how best to develop the land in Kemptville, as well as hold public and stakeholder consultations on whether building a new prison in Eastern Ontario is the best way to promote public safety and the best use of public funds. Number three, should a decision to build a new prison be an outcome of these consultations, start the site selection process over, because the first one has been proven to be flawed. And finally, release all documents withheld by the Ministry of the Solicitor General concerning this site selection. It's time. Thank you. It's time for the government to admit that mistakes have been made, The government has a chance to hit the reset button and do something enduring, something with perennial benefit, rather than just building another institution that will undoubtedly be filled. It also has a chance to show the critics that the Ford government will consider public opinion, it will consult, and it will respect democracy. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here.